Hello, it's Spence, the Evil Genius, with your WordPress tip of the day. Guys, I'm really excited about this new course on how to build a responsive membership site with WordPress, because in this edition, we're going to give you exact instructions on how to do multiple levels of subscription. And this is a great improvement because we're also going to talk about how to do downloadables as well as access to various content. Now, this particular course was inspired by one of our students over at 1WDTV who had asked us the question of, hey, I'm familiar with how to set up the basic membership now, but I want to know how to set up a couple levels of subscription services and do this in WooCommerce. And this is Josiah. Josiah, thank you for the inspiration. Today is your lucky day, and as an added bonus to everyone who has not seen our other videos, I'm going to cover some new territory so that you have everything you need in one place to build a responsive membership site with multiple subscription levels, of course, on WordPress. All right, so if you're ready to dive in, this is going to be a real good one. So grab a cup of coffee or tea, get comfortable. I may have to break this up into multiple lessons, but that's okay. We're going to be a really, really good result at the end. You'll notice that I've got a right out of the box WordPress 2013 theme ready to go, but we're not going to use that. We're going to go ahead and use our responsive solution as always. So let's jump on over to our admin dashboard and talk about that. All of our themes, all of our solutions are built using the responsive LabZip child theme because this has the 5 key features that you and your clients are going to need and want, and makes all of these features work together in harmony without fighting each other for the look or the feel or the style. And so even if you love the parent theme from responsive, you're really going to fall in love with how easy the responsive LabZip child theme makes it, because we've spent a couple years now developing the extra CSS and JavaScript and other PHP to just act as the glue or the adhesive to put all these things nicely together. It's kind of like with Lego blocks when you have that little base piece with the green that my kids use, looks like grass. That's what you stick all the other features and other blocks onto. So we're going to start with activating the child theme. And if you've never used the child theme, remember, child themes require the parent theme to be present, just like children in real life require the parents. But you're going to activate the child. You're going to send the child onto the swing set, not the parent. Parent's just going to be sitting over here watching. Okay? You can also dismiss this notice. You do not need the responsive add-ons. And you may also have, if you've never installed the plugins yet, BuddyPress and WooCommerce warnings that says please install those plugins. You can dismiss those as well because those are just there to remind you you're going to need them. So now that we've got the responsive child theme activated, let's jump to the plugins tab where we're going to see what plugins we need for the solution. Now, some of these plugins you're going to get for free from the WordPress repository, as I'll show you in a second. You're going to get Download Monitor, Groups, Members, and WooCommerce. And if you've never installed anything from the repository, simply click Add New on the Plugins tab and type in, let's say, WooCommerce. And I want to point out this is a #1 question asked of me all the time. Where's WooCommerce plugin? Well, it's actually called WooCommerce-Excelling E-Commerce. I have no idea why. I can't tell you how many people have installed the German translation file instead or the Netherlands. Just do the WooCommerce-Excelling E-Commerce plugin and click Install Now and you'll be good to go. Same thing for the other ones, Download Monitor, Groups, Members. Once you've got these all installed, we're going to start with, oh, and I should mention, the other plugins you're going to need to get from us either through our LabZip solution at labzip.com, or you can get it if you're a member of 1WDTV as part of your membership as well in our resource library. And these are all open source codes, so feel free to modify them, use them, pass them along, because the idea here is that the code under the GPL is not something that you're paying for. It's open source. You're paying for all the great instruction, support, help, and things that you can then pass along to the rest of the community in WordPress. Here today we're going to start out by installing and activating the WooCommerce plugin. Before I do that though, I want to make a quick comment about permalinks. Permalinks are what change the URL of your site from something page equals 123 into something more like / this page name. So go under Settings, Permalinks, and click on, the default is up here. See how it says the URL would be / page equals 123. We want something more readable like /sample post. So I always save that, and it's also a good idea because it helps to register the permalinks in the database if something went wrong on the install. Next, we're going to go over to our plugins again, we're going to turn on WooCommerce. So we click Activate. And the beauty of this is that if you've never done it before, you'll get a nice little installer that will allow you to get all the pages you need installed for you without any work on your part. So click on that purple button, and in just about 2 seconds, you've got WordPress with the new responsive theme and WooCommerce ready to go. So let's see how that looks when we refresh the page. And you can see here, by default, the menu system is just all spread out. We're going to fix that later. But you've got the necessary things like the shop page, the account page, etc., etc. And what's interesting is we're going to talk about how the My Account page works out in a second. The next thing we want to do is go back to the dashboard under Plugins, and we're going to need to turn on something else. Now, what we've got here is a situation where if we had one level of membership or subscription, we could just stick with the regular WooCommerce subscriptions, because that basically gives you an on or off, kind of like a light switch. If you want somebody to get access to certain stuff and they've paid, the switch is on. Vice versa. If you don't want them to get access, the switch is off. Or if they stop paying, the switch is off. But the question from Josiah was how to do that for multiple levels. And that's where we're going to use the groups for WooCommerce and the groups plugins. But let's start with the basics here. Let's activate first our WooCommerce subscription plugin. And here we've got the ability to add a basic subscription product. And now here is where, just for simplicity, let's just use some names we can live with. Let's call this basic level. You can call this anything you want. It really makes no difference. This is going to be basically the thing that sells the subscription access. It's the vehicle that you're having people give you money for to get the particular change in their capability or role. Okay, so I'll just call this basic level because I'm going to have some other levels in the next part of the tutorials or the next lessons. Down below, I'm going to have this as being a simple subscription, right? For now. In this case, it's virtual. And there's no downloads with this right now. It's just an on or an off. Somebody's going to pay me money to get access to certain parts of the site. I can go ahead and set up the change in the price here because I notice it's in British pounds. So let's go ahead and real quick do that. I'm going to publish this for a second. And let's go into WooCommerce and set up our basic settings so that we can fix that pound and make it into dollars. So I go to WooCommerce settings. And one of the things I'm doing here is I'm not pre-preparing anything here. I'm doing this live so you can see in real time what's involved. It's really easy when you know what's going on. I'm in Illinois in the United States, so I'm going to set my state in case there's a sales tax issue, and I'm going to use US dollars. I'm going to allow all countries, although you can specifically allow only certain countries for sales. And I'm not going to use this tutorial to go through all the options here, but I am going to use a couple key ones. First of all, coupons are fine. Guest checkout, I'm going to say no. No, that is not allowed. I want people to register and be signed in when they check out. Okay. We don't really need a note on the checkout field. And this is going to use, let's say, PayPal. So I'm not going to worry about having secure checkout. That's something that's part of another tutorial. But if you intend to take credit cards from people, for example, when using Stripe or whatnot, you need to have a PCI compliant setup, which means that your website has secure socket layer enabled, and that's connecting directly through a registered, certified connection to the server so that all along the way, those credit card numbers are secure. If you use PayPal as a checkout, you don't even need to worry about that. Okay. Here's a key one. We're going to need to allow registration on the checkout page. Why? Because we want to use the alternate registration process page that comes with WooCommerce. It's very streamlined and it gets you right at the place when people are checking out instead of making people jump back to the default WordPress. We can also say that people can register on the My Account page, which is convenient as well if you want that option. This is an option that I don't use that often because it can be confusing to some people, but basically you can allow people to use the same email address to register as they use for their username, or vice versa, use the email as the username. I'm going to leave that off right now because many people are familiar with just using the default method of having a separate username, and that's what will show up in the registration page for WooCommerce. All right, now we want to prevent people from getting to the WordPress admin. This is a really nice feature because this prevents people from going to the backside and seeing what we're looking at now, which is the dashboard. We want to keep them on the front of the site. Next, I like to clear the cart when people log out because this keeps people from having, let's say, stuff that they saved, oh my gosh, from weeks ago sitting around, even though the cookie probably expired. So what happens here is if they register and try to buy something and then log out, if there's stuff in the cart, it will be cleared out. And then there's another option, which we don't need to check now, allowing people to repurchase previous orders. Since these are subscriptions, it's probably not a big problem right now. This other stuff we can leave alone, other than we're going to do some download things, so you can leave the forced downloads option on here. And I also say downloads require a login. The last option, which is really important too, is called grant access to download products after payment. Even though we're not selling products in this tutorial, I just want you to know that if you had, let's say, a subscription that had an attached product to it, that this would allow people to get access to it right after they pay instead of getting a message that says options are processing. Okay, or waiting till you've approved that and made it complete. This way they can go ahead and immediately get the link and the download. Okay, which is really nice. So click on Save Changes. Now that we've done that, we can go and revisit what we were just setting up, which was a product. So we go to Products, List Products, and here's our basic level membership. So we click on it to edit it, and it's again just like using the post editor or the page editor. And here we're just going to type in some more. This is a basic membership level. Okay, and you can put some content in here or something else, but that's not the worry. Right now, I just need to make sure that I've got some way to sell this access. Okay, now I've got in US dollars, so I can put a subscription price of, let's say it's $25 per month. Okay, now the settings on this are not that complicated, but basically you could do it by the day, the week, the month, the year, and you can set it for only 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. If you do $25 per month or whatever your price is for all time, it'll just keep going. It'll keep auto billing as long as the payment is valid or the gateway is valid. In this case, we're going to use PayPal. So as long as they got money in the account, it'll keep billing them and charging through. You can also set up a sign-up fee, maybe $1,000. No, that's too much. You can do it if you wanted, let's say $10 for the service of signing you up, or just leave it alone. Free trial is the same way, but the other direction. Maybe I want to say, pay me the money, but you're going to first get the trial of, let's say, 5 days, right? And lastly, I'm not going to do that here. Lastly, you can set up a sale price. So it means that right now, today only, it's only $20 per month to get in instead of $25 per month. And you can set up the schedule for what dates that's valid for. Okay. The next thing on here is that you have lots of other options, which I'm not going to go into because that's not the purpose of this tutorial, but you can set up various attributes or linked products, inventory, etc. And we've shown those in other tutorials. That's how you can set it up where if, for example, you wanted to include a user manual, right? You could click on downloadable, and then you can go ahead over here and attributes. You could go ahead and put in some information about that downloadable. For example, you could say, let's say version, 1.0 of the user manual. Make it visible on the product page. You could put some other stuff in there too. I'm going to remove that. Okay. Next, the linked product. You could go ahead and find some other product or other service on your site, link it together. Inventory, in this case, you probably don't need to manage that because these are virtual products. Advanced is where you can go ahead and put notes in to the customer so that after they purchase it, it could say something like, our little dwarves are working, or elves are working very efficiently here in Santa's workshop to go ahead and get you this product as quickly as possible, very Derek Sivers-like. Either way, these other features are all available to you to set up. Most importantly, though, we're concerned only about the fact that we've got the actual access. By the way, I should mention too, if you had the download, you could go ahead and click here and choose a file. And let's say, for example, here I had this treasure chest. So for the $25 a month, they're going to get access to the site, and they're also going to get a downloadable, which is the picture of that treasure chest instead of the user manual I promised. You can set a limit on how many downloads they can get and how long the dates are that will be valid for. Okay, let's save this, because the more important part is I want to show you how the basics of this particular one-level subscription work. Now that we've got a subscription, we have a way for people to pay us. Now we have to set up the defaults of what happened. Well, the defaults are set over here in Settings General. What happens is normally when somebody registers for your site on WordPress, you have to click on this membership to allow that to happen. Then you have the default role, which is on WordPress set to subscriber. It's kind of a confusing role because there's really nothing you're subscribing to other than maybe an RSS feed, but it's a legacy term. What I like to do is actually use the default role of WooCommerce called customer. And so what happens is if somebody is coming in and they are registering through WooCommerce, but they're not actually paying me yet. Keep this in mind. They're not paying me yet to get access to my good stuff, my subscriber content. They're just merely a registered customer. I would like them to have the default role of customer. So what's happening here is they've come in, they register, they say, I want to know what's going on. I want to browse around your site, but I'm not going to pay you yet for the good stuff. They are now going to get the role of customer, which works just fine, because that way I know they've been through the process. They're not just a visitor who's browsing. They're somebody who's actually gone to the trouble of registering. Okay, now that we've got that set up, let's go back to WooCommerce and we're going to set up our one-level subscription. So we're going to go, actually, I take it back. We're going to go over here to WooCommerce settings, and there's a tab called subscriptions. So here's where you can adjust the various add to cart buttons that can say either sign up now or something else, be a member now, etc. Here's the two roles I was just talking about. On the regular setup, being a subscriber, you can say what's the default role. Now, if you want to reuse the subscriber role, that's fine, but I think that that's going to cause you a problem because it's the same thing that normally happens when somebody just registers with WordPress. And that's going to be potential pitfall. So what we want to do is make a new role. You'll notice though that the inactive subscriber role is set properly at customer. That's so that when somebody registers via WooCommerce, even if they're not paying to be a subscriber, they're going to at least have the special fallback of being a customer who can access the My Account area and the other things that WooCommerce provides. So in order to prevent a real tragedy here for the default subscriber role, let's make a new role called Paid Subscriber. And to do that, we're going to use the installed plugin that was called Members from Justin Tadlock. So here we're going to activate it. It's really, really simple. All we need to do now is go into Users, Roles. We can see here that these are the roles that are in play. There's administrator, author, contributor. Here's a WooCommerce one called customer. There's also another WooCommerce one called shop manager. And here's the default one from WordPress, which is called subscriber, which is just confusing. If we open it up to edit it, you can see here that it really has nothing more in it other than just the read capability. Okay? But what's important to us is that we have something unique in name. So let's add a new role by clicking Add New. And we're going to call the role name with only alphanumeric characters and underscores, Paid Subscriber. Okay, notice that it's underscore, paid underscore subscriber. That's important so it doesn't break anything. Here under the label, we can do Paid Subscriber. And just like with the default, we're only going to need the read capability. This is just basically like a placeholder, okay, for now. Okay, once we've done that, now we go back to our WooCommerce settings, and now we go to subscriptions, and now we say if somebody is the default subscriber role, they're going to be a paid subscriber. Okay. The rest of this stuff in here you can set. It's really probably self-evident, but you can change some of the various features and the sign-up fees and other things that aren't really relevant to this tutorial. So I'm going to go ahead and pass on those for now and just click Save Changes. And now just as simple as that, we've really got the basics of our membership system set up with one subscription level, right? So if we were to go over here to our shop, and again, this doesn't look pretty yet, we've got basic level, sign up now. And here's where somebody can go ahead and put in their data, first name, last name, company name, address. And we show you in one of our other tutorials how to simplify all of this to make it as simple as we've got here. Let's say at 1WDTV, when you do a sign up, we have one of our lessons shows you how to take the page that has that extra detail like address and billing information and simplify it to something more like just first name, last name, email address, and username. And that's really easy because that way a person doesn't have to waste a lot of time or have a lot of friction at checkout. But for right now, at least you've got the billing address, other information that somebody can put in. Here's their order, and they can pay with PayPal. Click on Sign Up Now. And when they do that, they will be given a role change that will take them from being a customer to being a, of course, you just learned, paid subscriber. Okay. What are they going to be able to do with this? Well, if we set it up, we can give them access to certain content that is only available because they are a paid subscriber. So one of the ways we do that is to just create a regular page, call it All Pages, and let's create a new one called Stuff for Paid Subscribers Only. Now this page by itself can be any style or any type of setup you wish. The key thing is we're going to set up the permissions here. And these permissions mean that it's only going to be visible if you're an admin, probably if you're an editor, who is somebody that might help the admin, or a paid subscriber. It won't be visible to anyone else. They'll get a message, the default error message, that says, hey, you must basically pay to get access to this. And let's see what happens by default when we do this. Let's go ahead and put in something that says this content should only be seen if you have proper access. Okay, now don't get confused by that message. This is just content. This could be a video, it could be an image. In fact, let's put our treasure in there. Now we're going to publish this page. Now what I want to do is I'm going to grab this page. I'm going to go to a browser that is not logged in. Okay, so I'm going to copy this because see, the admin can always see it. Let's open up a browser where I'm not logged in and see what I see. So here we got the page title, but it says, sorry, you do not have permission to view this account, right? I can't see the treasure. I can't see the wording I just typed because it's only available to a paid subscriber. So I can adjust this message two ways. I can change it here on a page-by-page basis that says, yo, please join to see this stuff. And then I can put a link in, for example, to my sign-up page. Let's do it without the link first. If I refresh the page now, yo, please join to see this stuff. Let's take it to the next level. We know that we've got a subscription here, right? So let's just get that link, which is right here, and we'll add that as a link here in the custom message. ahref equals little tiny bit of PHP. I'm sorry, a little tiny bit of HTML. Join now. Okay, so you can copy this, use the same kind of thing. Use your own URL, of course. You can make it relative like that. And then this will give it a nice little way for you to, let's go back over here, reload the page. Oh. Actually, I take it back. So this does not allow the custom message to have HTML. So we're going to do it the second way. I'm always learning myself. So we're going to take that custom message out, save it, and let's change the default message. So by default, if I go under, let's see, we want to go into the role manager. So we're going to go under members, settings, members. Here we can enable the content permissions feature and we can put in a particular custom message. So let's do it like this. We're going to take what we had here and we're going to put it inside of that paragraph. Okay. And we're going to scroll down and update the settings. Now, when we go back over to our logged out page, now we've got what we want, which is, yo, please join to see this stuff. And then the link takes people to the page where they can read about the subscription and sign up now. Okay, so this is all the stuff that we've covered in other tutorials, but hopefully you're now up to speed. There is one little addition, though, that I want to add before we talk about multiple levels, and that is that we now can do the same thing for downloads. Now, it's nice that you can have a product that has a download, but the problem with that is that it's hard to get to all of that stuff. If you have multiple downloads and all of them are in their own little product, it means you're putting the people through a lot of work to have to download them and then go to their My Account area, etc., etc. So that's where the other plugin here, Download Monitor, comes in. So we're going to go to Installed Plugins and turn on or activate Download Monitor. And we're going to activate this Download Monitor page add-on. Now the page add-on is a nice little template. So let's set that up. And it only needs one little shortcode. So we go and create a new page that's going to have this template on it. We'll call this, like we do on our 1WTV, we'll call this Resource Library. And then I'm going to paste the following shortcode in place, download_page. Notice that it has the brackets on either side. And I'll also want to make this a full width because I don't want to see sidebars. And then I publish it. And just to be sure, you can always turn off comments and such. If you were to turn that Screen Options tab on to see all the options and go down here, I'm going to take off comments and trackbacks because I want this page to be nice and clean. I don't want people to comment on it. And we look at this page now, we'll see that there's nothing there, but it's the basis for what will hold a product. Now, how do we add a downloadable? Easy. Go to Downloads. Go to Downloads here. And we can add new. And this is kind of cool because the downloads can be anything you want, but let's say sample download. This can have, you know, description, blah, blah, blah. But here's the real key. You know, the download can have content that is available from an outside URL like Amazon S3, or it could be available where you upload the file or browse for a file. So let's do the same thing we did before, where I can go through my server and look at my WP content folder. Let's see here, I had uploads, I had that little treasure. There's the pirate treasure ping, and I'll say this is version 1.0 of the treasure PNG. Okay, and I can put tags and a featured image, which is kind of funny because obviously that's the thing we're downloading. But the whole point is that you're giving something that's going to show up in the resource library, and then what we're going to do is we're going to protect this resource library. But I'm going to show you how. You can also, before you're done with this one particular download item, say that it's only for logged in people. There's also an option to feature it, which will show the featured image. Hit publish. Now what happens is, if I go back to the resource library, I'll see that there is a new piece of downloadable in here, right? The nice thing is that the URL for this does not ever show the real location of the original file, which is the reason that this works so well. If you have it on Amazon S3, or if you have it on your Dropbox, or you have it even locally in your WordPress uploads folder, nobody can really easily find out where it's at. And it also gives you stats and other tracking, so when somebody clicks to download it, they'll go ahead and show up. You can even share that information if you're interested with the other site members. You know, what are the most popular downloads? How often have they been downloaded, etc. But here's what we want to accomplish. We know that this kind of stuff is valuable. That's the stuff that only subscribers should see, right? So we don't want to just necessarily give this to the general public or somebody who's just a registered customer. So we have to protect the resource library in the same way we just did with that default subscription. So we edit the page and we scroll down, and here's the thing, just like before, we're going to set the content permissions for the resource page to administrators, editors, and paid subscribers only. Click update. Now if I go back over to my logged out sample page and I try to access the resource library, and if I spell it right, we get the same message. Yo, please join to see this stuff. Join now. So we've just seen that we now got basically sample content that's protected for paid subscriber only. We've got the resource library that's for paid subscriber only. And now we're going to move on to the next lesson. I'm going to break up the video here, and when we come back, we're going to talk about how to do this for multiple levels of subscription, or various types of subscription levels, depending on the way you like to say it. So until then, this is Spence, the evil genius, and I'll see you next time.